Welcome to Bombs the Pod, the Black on My Best Side podcast, recorded in and around the nation's capital, coming to a platform near you, made possible by Chief Beard and Body Products, and music by 7-Way. All right, welcome. Thank you for tuning in live for our third episode of Bombs the Pod. This episode is going to be called "What You Mean You Ain't Nasty." Perfect shout out to Big Crit, for anybody who knows. We're going to start by introducing today's guest, old friend of mine, but we're going to talk about some things that we don't talk about, which is sexuality from a different perspective, sex work, what that looks like now, and to a degree, Black conservatism about what that means to us. And so now I'll introduce Miss Sydney Nash.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I could do a whole montage on who Sydney is and all that. I'll allow her to introduce herself. I'm going to allow her to plug herself because I want y'all to spend money. We are a pro sex work podcast here.
So I can plug
so yes, please do.
So my name is Sydney. I go by Miss Sydney Nash. I am a sex worker. I've been in the industry for going on 2 years now. Started as a cam girl, and first started out just sending nudes because I liked it, and then I figured let me go ahead and get paid for this. So I started as a cam girl on Cam Soda. So you can follow me on there. I don't get much time to go on there, but that's my first love. So I will be returning back. So that's camsoda.com/Sydney-Nash. So that's where you can find me for camming. And then I pivoted over to OnlyFans because it allowed me more freedom to make content as I wanted, not tied down to just, being live. So my OnlyFans is the same name as you see at the bottom, onlyfans.com/Miss Sydney Nash.
All right. And first of all, for all of y'all that are listening to this, let's go ahead and get all the weird stuff out the way. We know that y'all paying for OnlyFans. Y'all are frequenting watching porn sites. It's okay. We're adults here. I know some of y'all got collections of sex toys. All of that is all right. We're adults here. Some of the things we need to talk about more as a community anyway, because there's a lot of stuff that happens that hinges off those industries that we need to get into. And speaking of the industry and sex work as a whole,
if we spoke about it more, we would be safer in what we do.
So now, you know what? That's a perfect segue. We're gonna get into this first bit, which we're returning to, which is Last Week in Blackness. So first thing we're gonna do, Last Week in Blackness. Actually, it was December the 8th. And I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. So the highlight, this was called the boom of racism porn. Some of y'all are going to look at me like, what do you mean racism porn? But basically, as it says here, Black performers making millions for porn sites while being underpaid, verbally abused, and subjected to racism. And I'm going to just read the opening of this. Ooh, Lord, sound like COVID. That's not funny, y'all. It's just a regular cough, I promise you. I'm going to just give a general overview, but standing before her were 8 white men, largely unmemorable, except for they all had one thing in common: Confederate flag t-shirts and penises jutting stiffly out of their pants. She was here to have sex with all of them. She knew that. She signed the contract, but Anna Fox, at the time 23, was still trying to process the message. What was really being asked of her? When the director Another white man pulled her into a side room. He showed her images on his computer of other black women in videos just like this one. He told her that the experience will be fun and easy and quick. Everything will be over in 10 minutes. Was she cool with that? So now, you know, I think it's one of like the things that almost, if you're 30 years old, you almost been watching porn for at least 15 years. It's weird. As black people, we've been watching porn for like ever. We've been in porn since forever. We've been in sex work and forever. And and maybe I'll let Sydney kind of go into this because you work in one part of the sex work industry. How do you think it kind of compares? We've seen OnlyFans boom and as far as content creators, but how do you think that and porn kind of are similar and different?
Well, OnlyFans is not just porn, so you can have an OnlyFans for anything, like anything. It's but what I do is porn. One thing about OnlyFans gives you the freedom to create the content that you want to create without having to go through what the article was just speaking about. You are in control of all of your content. You are in control of, your titles, what you film, who you film with, just, whatever you want to do, you can do it. And unfortunately, if you want to have like a bigger name without really hustling your OnlyFans, most people go the traditional route of going with these larger porn companies. And at that point, you are losing the freedom of, you're bound to the contract, like they said, and you don't have any say so in what the content is going to be, how they're going to promote it, what the title is going to be. And over the years, we've seen porn titles get more taboo and taboo and taboo. It's really hard to go online. First, it started off as, ebony chick gets pounded by whatever, and a white woman, it would never really be pounded. She would be treated more delicately even in the caption, with the ebony. First of all, ebony, but so it has always been racialized. But now it's just getting worse and worse with the state of society. And they really are tailoring it to how society is. Your porn, what people search and like how they're promoting porn is kind of a reflection of what society wants right now, what society is going through. So, with OnlyFans, at least I can do what I want. I can make it taboo if I want it, or I could just say, hey, this is me getting down with this person. Let's watch. So it's sad to hear that, other women in the industry are going through this. And like any other industry, it's work. There should be laws about what you're subjected to, what you can agree to, and what you don't have the freedom to agree to, because it's, certain, creativity, clause, whatever. So, right. But if you are a Black woman and you don't realize that you think you could be in a scene with two white men. Okay, that's something people want to see. But you have no idea that they're going to call you ghetto slut gets pounded by redneck, like you don't realize. And now that is what people are going to see you as and know you as. And it kind of goes into your porn reputation,
It's actually funny. I think I didn't understand it for some reason. Like I really get interested in like the articles, like seeing people who work in sex work or work in porn as people. Like for some reason, that's always kind of intrigued me. And it was a couple years back. There's an actor by the name of Big Mo or Mo, something along those lines. And I remember he sued a company because the director told he was on an interracial scene. Mm-hmm. For those who are acting as if they don't know what this means, it means it's a Black person with a white person Doesn't matter sexuality, whatever. And the white woman that he was recording with used the N word. It was told to by the director he was working with. And he said something about it the first time, and she went back and doubled back and did it again. Apparently, this is just a thing. But then as time went on, some things kind of started to stick out. There's a Black Wives Matter like series of porn now of Black women who are acting or portrayed as wives who are cheating on their husbands with white men. Just like a blatant play on Black Lives Matter, but porn. And you got to understand, like, porn is literally $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
Like it's almost to the point that it feels like porn is making so much money that they really don't care how many websites are out there that people are streaming for free. Mm-hmm. Right. So looking at this article, it was kind of cool, and disheartening at the same time to see like these people as people who are conflicted, who are, doing some of these things. And it's funny because, like, and I'm not coy about it. There's like, you'll be on Twitter and you may have followed one person and they'll retweet a whole bunch of other people who are doing OnlyFans. And then you learn terms that you didn't know existed before. Like, there's some people, like you said, they're content creators that actually play it up. Like, I didn't know what breed me actually meant. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I have the correct definition of what it means when it's typically a Black woman that's saying breed me. But could you speak more about that? Like, because I'm not the expert at all.
I haven't heard that. I personally haven't heard. I don't watch that much porn.
Wow. So you're a maker. You're not a watcher. Okay, that's completely understood.
No. And the thing is, this is the reason. What we're talking about is the reason why it got to the point where it was so uncomfortable trying to even find something to get off to, because I'm like, now I'm offended. Like, Black people watch porn too. And we go to the same sites, X videos, XNXX, Pornhub. We go to them just like everyone else, but you're instantly offended because you're trying to find people that look like you. Mm-hmm. But people that look like you are always put in these compromising positions. It's very hard. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to just watch my own video.
It's wild too. Like, you speak to that. And like, I think about how, like, and anybody who's paid attention to a degree, you can notice when like there's a new girl that's kind of like the it girl, but she's usually signed to a company like Brazzers. She's usually signed to like whoever Bang Bus is. And she's almost exclusively having sex with white men as a Black woman, right? And it's weird, but then you get the backstories. You start to learn that, like this article said, Black women get paid less money. They'll get paid more money if they're doing interracial scenes. There are white women that will refuse to have sex with black actors in porn. All these things that matter into it. And this is just the side of porn that I know about. I have no idea what takes place in LGBTQ spaces. Right. And like I said, it's not something that I've ever watched, so I couldn't speak to it. But it's just so interesting to see, like, it, even in something as taboo, if you want to call porn taboo now, the things that take place in real life are existent. It's like there are people who don't look like us who fetishize us, but they fetishize us with a particular flair that still hinges upon racism, things that are generally problematic. And it's like you said, we enjoy porn too, but at the same time, how do you now control things in that industry when we can't even talk about that aspect of Blackness plus sexuality with any type of progression?
And it's all tied together for real, because when has this country and broader the world ever looked at Black people as human? So when you look at it as how we're treated outside of this, it it goes into this industry. It goes into all industries. Look at the pandemic. Once they found out that it was Black people that was dying and getting sick at a higher rates, oh, open up, we good, But so when we're talking about like back into this industry, they don't look at us as whole people to begin with. So why should they? We should just be happy that we're getting paid and that we're working, So it it's a lot that needs to change. And I'm just glad that we have other outlets where we can create for ourselves. Because technically, I have a Pornhub account, like to be a creator, a content creator. I just haven't done it yet. But I think that's the route that, we need, again, it all couples together. We need to just create our own. We need, like, and because it's so taboo, you don't have people out here like, you know what? I'm going to start a porn production company because Black people want to see themselves. So let me, like, this is $1 billion industry. We do it for everything else. Start our own hair company, skincare. We start clothing lines. Porn production companies can make a lot. And there are some out there. There are, but there can be more. There's always room for more.
That's an interesting point you speak to because I don't know this to be factual. I'm just going off of optics. It seems as though Black people dominate the amateur space. Like when you look at, if you were happen, and I have friends of mine, this is literally not me. I'm not coy talking about it, but I have friends of mine who exclusively only look at amateur porn for a myriad of reasons. People don't understand certain things like, yeah, you can't mimic porn in real life because those positions are meant for you to see a visual. They're not meant to be mimicked for like, this is what you do to give somebody pleasure or whatever. Right. It's not meant for that. Right. But if you look at like the amateur space, it seems a lot that people are really like, most of the people that make that look like us. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's your viewpoint though.
I think I see a lot of it just because I see a lot of Black shit, period. Like, I'm sure, it's a bunch of white amateur porn out there. But when I'm looking for porn and stuff, I'm always looking for Black people. So I only see that because that's what I'm looking for. I'm sure if I like branched out, it's like Black Twitter. That's like saying, oh, I only see Black people on Twitter. So it seems like Black people dominate Twitter, which we dominate the conversations. Yes. But we're still not the majority of users.
Right. So I guess it is like the same thing with everything else. We don't control that. It's like algorithms, I'm guessing. Like you go to a site long enough, if you ain't looking on the incognito window, y'all know what that is. Y'all listening to this too, because y'all know how many of y'all be searching on y'all computers with the incognito windows. But it's like, if you go to another site long enough, they know what to show in front of you because that's all you're going to look at. Mm-hmm. But I guess even with that being said, like you talk about this industry and like they had some really like heavy hitters. If for those who like know the industry of porn, like the person who that quote was from is Anna Fox. She's like one of the it girls right now as far as Black women performers in the industry. They had Cinnamon Love, who you probably can't throw a rock and hit 15 Black men who are like 30 years old who don't know who that is, just to be frank about it. She also has a really dope like ear for music too. But tangential, but still.
Because we're people too.
And I you know what? That's it though, right? Like it was funny. I remember when I first got on Twitter, it was very interesting to watch. I'm a big fan of this group called Little Brother and this guy named Fonte. Fonte will be having full-blown conversations with Cinnamon Love about non-sexual stuff. Like on a weekly basis. And it was just like, oh wow, these are actual people. I guess to a degree, being able to like see that and seeing things come off the screen and be kind of put in a real sense, even that kind of changed my perception of like porn and sex and the sexuality of Black folks.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this is a job. It's a job that we choose to do that hopefully you enjoy doing, because don't do it if you don't enjoy it. That's my number one advice when someone asks about it. Like, don't do it if you're not going to enjoy it. Do it if you're not even gonna make no money because you just enjoy doing it. If you're in it for the money, great, be great at it. But if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. But we have whole other lives outside of, this. Sex
Mhm.
workers are parents, they're someone's children, they're hopefully adults doing it. But they're someone's children, they're someone's sister, they're someone's brother. They went to school. They have regular jobs, not just sex work, but regular jobs that, you know, isn't sex work isn't just our life. It's a part of us, but it's not our life. And that's something that people need to realize when they talk about sex workers and I can't believe she doing that. Whatever, like she on a pole, she must not have had a daddy. Like, no, she on a pole because she making $1,000 that night and she paying her way through law school. Or she just want to be on there because she making money.
You bring up a point, and we'll kind of get this more into the later segment because I do kind of want to I want people to kind of hear your story and how you got here, right? And a lot of people, they may hear that and they think I'm saying got here in a negative sense. It's like, nah, because honestly speaking, it is nobody's business how you providing for yourself and paying your bills as long as it don't infringe upon other people, right?
Exactly.
I know there's a lot of guys who have knee-jerk reactions, and there's some women who do too. I mean, a lot of us a lot of us in general are gatekeepers of what we consider quote unquote morality, but we calling things a thing. Sex work is like the second oldest industry to what, church. Like it's just been around for so long that
And
you kind of,
it had to be first because the church had to have something to condemn.
you know what,
So,
that's a valid point too. uh, so like, question for you, like when you hear stories like this, and this is kind of like, and this is before we get into the next segment. Does it make you think about the people that you have access to, or people that have access to you via your platform? Um, because I've seen the percentage that you are within on OnlyFans. I've
mhm.
You're relatively successful via on OnlyFans in the lane that you've charted for yourself, right? Um, but are you always on alert to see like, okay, I have this type of like audience, people want to watch these types of scenes. I don't want to get asked to do these types of things. Are there people that you may have had to block because they're asking too much, or they're making requests that are out the way? Kind of speaking to your point of being, when you're able to control your audience and control what you're putting out, does that impact it a lot when you're able to see articles like this where you're like, oh, wait a minute, this, all right, I got to protect myself in more ways than I think about.
Um, I haven't had to block many people, surprisingly, especially not on OnlyFans, because if you got to my OnlyFans, you either found me through camming, so you liked me, because part of camming is not just, that y'all tip and then we do stuff. A lot of it is just the beginning. I'm just sitting here talking to people. And then like you build a rapport with your fans. So you may have new people that come and they may be on some disrespect. Like one time, black people can tell a black person through how they type. That's just one of our gifts. So I did have one person enter my cam room that kept saying nigga. And I'm like, first of all, dudes don't just be talking to black women saying nigga unless like we cool. Like I know you, like that's my nigga. What's up, nigga? Like you don't just go up to a black man ain't gonna go up to a black woman and just off bat, what's up, my nigga? No, there has to be familiarity there. So he kept saying, I was like, yo, chill on that. He was like, my bad, my nigga. I'm like, you got one more time before I block you out my room. And he was like, my bad. And then he said it again. I just blocked him.
Hmm.
So thankfully when you're on platforms like that where you are able to kind of protect your space, you can, filter out those types of people easily. And at that point, it's not about the money, because I'm like, you're not even paying me for any race play, which I wouldn't do. But that is a thing, because race play is a thing. And the same with OnlyFans. If you are paying money to even enter to see my content, I will hope you're not paying money to harass me to then block me. I mean, for me to then block you. So it's like a really curated fan group on OnlyFans, at least, where you're paying money. You're you're investing in the content that I'm making. So it's in your best interest not to bother me. But I haven't had any requests or anything yet.
Yet is the operative word. Last question for you, just for this first segment. And like I said, I'm never the expert on a lot of these topics that I'm talking about, which is why I bring people who are a little bit closer to those industries and those experiences anyway. Before we go into the next segment, as somebody who is Black, who is a Black woman, who is in the sex work industry in one capacity or the next, what could we as Black people, both Black men and Black women, do to really support sex workers, at least try to understand or ask the right questions so that we can actually support sex workers? Because just like us, they are experiencing racism, they are experiencing sexism, they're experiencing unfair treatment in their workplace. What do you think we could do to like be better supporters and advocates of them?
First, as with anything, listen. People don't even want to listen to us when we speak about what's happening in the industry, because they already feel a way about what we do. So it starts by listening. Next, when you see somebody, amplify the issues. Amplify the issues. If you see someone retweet this type of article or talking about this type of article online, share it. You don't even have to make a comment about it. You can just share it, and hopefully somebody else will see it, and then somebody else will see it, and then the message will continue on that way. Then talk to us, not just like engage in a meaningful way, in a way where you're listening first, and not just engaging to respond or to put your opinion on us and what you think we should be doing. Like, really listen to what it's like in this life, because it's not easy. It's really not easy. I used to dance for a little bit. And already as a woman, late at night, anywhere you go, you got to be on high alert. But when you are a dancer and you have to get back to your car, be cognizant of where you park. You got to make sure that nobody from the club is following you. These are things that most people may not even think about unless you talk to somebody that's in the industry. And it may make you feel a different way. Like, dang, like I may feel a way about strippers or whoever, but that's fucked up to think that, somebody will just follow you and, try to get you, steal your money, rape you, whatever it may be, all because you was at work, So I would say just start with listening and then talk. And even with podcasts like this that talk about it, share it with people, just get the word out there about the industry and the highs and the lows.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, sex workers are people too. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, and then we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you for all, stopping in to Bounce a Pod. We'll be back to talk more to Miss Sydney Nash about how she got to this industry and what her experiences are and what it's been for her. So see you back soon. right, and we are back. We are back. This is going to seem like a really like random background, so let me go ahead and explain exactly what this is.
Okay.
A lot of times when people think about sex workers, we always think about the street,
Mhm.
right? I mean, some people who listen to this know I'm from Washington D.C. They know Washington D.C. area, so you think about K Street, you think about
Mhm.
uh, you think about West Virginia Avenue, you think about Eastern Avenue, Northeast and like some of those areas, right? And that's not necessarily all that it is, right? So, you spoke in the previous segment a little bit about like your past and how you kind of got to this place where you're able to create your own content via OnlyFans. But let's go back a little bit further than that. Like, let's talk about, you know, a little bit, not too deep, but like your upbringing, your introduction to sexuality, your desire to explore that, and how that kind of just led to you becoming the person you've become.
Mhm. Sure. I'm from DC. That's how we know each other.
Right.
Um, uh, I feel like I was always interested in, I didn't know it was sex work, but I was always interested in the life, so to speak. Like I remember watching, I don't know if it was Sally, Jesse, Raphael, or Ricky Lake, somebody, I think it was Sally, honestly, that
Ooh.
had strippers. Yeah. Like, and that was in the 90s, and I'm 30. So I was young, and I watched the episode about strippers, and I was like, they're so cool. Like, no judgment even came into my mind. They were even white. They weren't even black. They were white. I was like, that's cool what they can do on the pole. They look like they're having fun. And ever since then, I said, one day I'm gonna do an amateur night. Just to get it out of my system. I'm not even 10 years old yet.
Mm.
So I that's what I'm saying. The life kind of calls you. Um, so that was like my first introduction that I can remember into like seeing someone in the business and being like, that's cool. And then, we all watched Real Sex on HBO back in the day. And
Listen, the amount of black people I never forget when streaming of like HBO became a thing, right? I'll never forget getting to that place and I was just like, I wonder. And I found out that it was like HBO Go or HBO Now, one of the two. You can go and stream it whenever you want to. And I found out that you can go and stream all the seasons of Real Sex.
can you?
Like it was the most odd form of nostalgia because I was like, yo, I remember sitting up
Oh,
late watching this.
I have to, I have to watch it because it really opened my mind to just all types of things. Low key, it taught me about my body a little bit in ways
Mm,
that I wouldn't have known. Like how different parts work, what parts should be touched. It taught me a lot. I actually learned how to orgasm on my own at 12 because I was watching things like that. And there's
you
grown
should be so lucky.
it's grown women to this day that don't know how their body work. So thank God for that. Like I was able to learn early, like what I like, what I didn't like, what works, what doesn't work, where I like to be touched, how. Because at 12 I was doing it. And that's the thing. I wasn't the only one at 12 exploring my body, but it wasn't being taught in a way where about pleasure. You're not taught about
Mm,
pleasure, especially growing up in a conservative household. I went to a conservative church. My whole family still goes to the church, and it ain't nobody talking about sex. Ain't nobody talking about sex. So so you have to learn it somewhere. And so anyway, fast forward to like after college or whatever. Still haven't done an amateur night yet. But all my friends know. And that's why it wasn't a shock about me getting into this, because if you my friend, you knew that I want to do an amateur night one day. One day I was going to do it. If I had to drive out to West Virginia somewhere and do it, I was going to do it. And it actually became a thing for my 30th birthday, which was almost a year ago exactly. And I was like, I was already doing sex work, but I was like, I haven't stripped yet. I need to at least audition. I need to at least audition to get that out of my system because it's been there for 20 years, damn near.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing that, but backtrack a little bit. How I got into actually like sex work is I had a friend. We were friends with benefits. We were good friends. It was a long distance thing, so we didn't see each other often, but that means we would video chat, and what adults do. And one day he told me, he was like, you should be a cam girl because you're like really good at this. And I was like, really? And the thing is, I didn't even know what a cam girl was. And this was a couple years ago. I didn't know, probably like 3 years ago. So I didn't know what cam girl was. So he showed me the site and I was like, oh, they having fun and making money. Because one thing about it is he saw how much I enjoyed doing it. It wasn't like, oh, she's doing this to get off and help me get off. Like he saw in my eyes how much I enjoyed this. So he was like, you can make money doing this. I put it to the back burner a little bit because, life and stuff. And then eventually I was like, let me try this out. And so he helped me, told me like what the girls do and stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in here. Went on there the first night and I was like, bet this is my thing. When I get free time, this is my thing. Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of free time anymore. But it's still my first love and my introduction into sex work. And I will always, always love camming. But like I said, I didn't have much time to do it. So I kind of pivoted into OnlyFans as a way to still get that pent up side of me out. Because I was in a relationship for a long time before I started doing this. And I wasn't able to be that person that I was with him in my relationship because that person wasn't like me in that way. Like I like to record myself. I don't mind sharing it. All my friends know you come over my house, I'm probably not gonna have no clothes on. Like I don't do that. So I don't care what I look like that day. You're gonna see some private parts. You're in my house.
For full disclosure, we are not those types of friends. I have never been to Sydney's house. I have never. I'm just saying it right now. Just full disclosure.
No. No, mostly not around my male friends. I don't do that around my male friends. My good girlfriends, they get that.
Right. No, it's an interesting place to be because I think like a lot of us grew up in a church one way or the next. I grew up in a very conservative, a veiled conservative way, right? And by that I mean I grew up Catholic, and the stereotypes about Catholic people there's a bit of truth to it. Growing up Black and Catholic, I have met probably the wildest groups of people that I will ever meet in my entire life. And when I say Black and Catholic, and Sydney could speak to this, DC in the 90s, Catholic schools are like charter schools are now. Your parents had a little bit of money. Your parents had a little bit of money. They had a decent job, maybe a decent government job. Yeah. Oh, you weren't going to the local elementary school. You was going to Saint something, Holy something. It was all of that, right? So I very much remember. Like I remember back when you had the A/B switch cables and you'd be on the B side watching like a movie. I never forget. I was ended up watching C-Spot Run. I know the exact movie that it was. I was watching C-Spot Run. I think it was channel 22B. And it was on at like 10 o'clock at night. The movie was like an hour and a half. And they hit 10:59, and I was still watching C-Spot Run. And then 11 o'clock hit, and all I saw was ass and titties. And I couldn't look away from the screen. Right? And I promise you I'm not the only one that got this story because it's just like, oh, what is the Spice Channel? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm not supposed to be looking at this. but I can't help but look at this. And it's not one of those things where it's like, hey mom, hey dad, I just saw this. I felt things I hadn't felt before. You because you automatically feel bad. It's like it's almost like the Eve biting the apple moment.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how you feel about it, right? So it's like you said, and then we had A/B side cable. That was a thing. I know people that was out here that was like trying to watch porn like through the like fuzzy like screens on channel 3. It was like hoping that it kind of can't, like you had like sometimes you had that moment where it come through real clear. You're like, oh snap, I got it, and then it'll just clear back out.
Do it again,
Right. You had the people that I might be getting the year wrong. You was up late one night watching AJ and Free on New Year's, watching the 106 and Party, and then it switched over to BET Uncut after you were sitting and watching videos on New Year's Day, and you just sat there and watched all the random videos, and it's like
I was at watch night service, so I didn't even see that.
Ooh, oh, see, yeah, I didn't get watch night service until later on. Yeah, nah, I get that. No, it's for me. It's just funny because it's like all these things are subversive within Blackness.
Yeah.
And even to a degree, even now, it's like it's so like we were conditioned with it so much that you kind of see in how a lot of us black men respond to OnlyFans, because it's one thing that we're going and pursuing, like looking at porn that we wanted to go look at. It's a different thing when there's people that we possibly know who are close to us, who are now have power over the ability to seduce us, right? And now you see people that are like reacting. Like, so do you have any experiences like that where it's like, all right, people like saw that you were doing it and now they acted one way towards you at one point and then they changed?
I haven't had anyone switch up on me. Honestly, anyone who found out or I told that I do this, majority of them are like, yo, that's cool. Like they're intrigued because they don't know anyone else who does it. So it's like, oh, you do this, and a lot of people don't even know what sex work really is. They think of porn as porn. They don't look at, someone like as it being work. Because there's still so much education that needs to be had around the industry and around the people who do it. So I haven't had anyone switch up on me that I know of. And if they did, we don't talk enough for me to know that there was a switch. But I did have recently, like in October, someone, and I said I grew up in a conservative church. I ended up leaving the church in college, but my whole family still goes there. And like I said, I've been doing this for almost 2 years, and somehow my OnlyFans got in the hands of somebody who ended up screen recording and screenshotting my content, and they like sent it all throughout my mom's church. And not getting into too much detail about the church, but it is a church that has different regions and churches in the United States. So my content was being spread to all age groups and up and down the East Coast, probably out west somewhere, where all the church network is. And I didn't know until I got 2 DMs from girls that were like, hey, I don't know if you know, but I saw some pictures of you in like some interesting and compromising positions. And at first, the first girl, I thought, oh, her Facebook must be hacked, because it just came off as kind of like a spam. And I was like, and we don't even talk that much. I'm like, oh, she must be hacked. And then a girl that I actually talked to more, she was like, yo, I know what you do, but it's getting out here now. I just wanted to let you know in case you didn't know. So it became like this big old scandal, if you want to say. Like, I don't call it a scandal for me, because I'm like, if you're in this industry, odds are people you know are going to find out. You have to be okay with people knowing who you are if you show your face. If you don't show your face, do what you do. My content, I show my face. So there was always this risk of being exposed. But the way that it was done, and in exposing anybody in this line of work like that, what I didn't respect is, one, like, you're screenshotting my content. You're supposed to pay to see that, and you send it out for free. Number two, you're putting my safety in jeopardy, because I don't know who all is seeing this now. You're not a subscriber. I don't know who all has this information in these videos and pictures of me. And they could be somebody that knows where I live. I don't know, because I do live in a area where a lot of them are. So it was an unfortunate situation, but I don't know if anyone switched up on me from that. But that experience it taught me more. I think it taught me more about those people than me, because so many men in the church signed up. So you saw my content for free, and then it made you sign up. So then you started paying money to see more. So I'm like, okay. So that's how I got to a certain percentage, the rankings, even though the rankings are bullshit. I don't even go by those. But I got to a certain percentage because a lot of them signed up in a quick amount of time. And also I started getting propositioned, or we call it meetups, aka sex for play to play, and a lot of them are in relationships, married. And one thing about this industry, which I don't know if we have time to even talk about it briefly, but discretion is, for me, with my clients and my fans, is key. I don't do meetups, so I let them know, nope, I don't do it. And I wasn't disrespectful. Like, how could you do this to your wife? Because at the end of the day, I don't know who is subscribing and what their home situation is like. And I feel like no matter if you're in a relationship or not, your porn and what gets you off is still your private business. No matter who you are committed to, unless y'all have those parameters set, that it's still, your sexuality doesn't belong to anybody else, even when you are in a relationship. So I was not disrespectful to them, but I just let them know, hey, that's not something I'll offer. I'm virtual only. And yeah, so it taught me a lot about some of the people that I know, but no one really switched up on me, but that was an unfortunate situation and that's how my family found out that I do what I do. Because it spread around that much. Somebody was like, my grandmother got these pictures. I'm like, how'd your grandmother get my nudes?
I'm over here. For me, it's kind of wild because I know what church it is.
Yeah.
Like, just based upon the details. Like, you can attest to this. You and I have never actually had that discussion about what took place. Matter of fact, I just found out like before we got on here, right? Yeah. And yeah, that's crazy. But like, to your point, why is it so taboo? Because the thought process of it is like, okay, so all of y'all are spreading it around, but all of y'all are watching it first.
Exactly.
Right. And we don't address that enough as is. So a lot of the issues that go around, a lot of the infidelity, a lot of the if it's like infidelity is, for me, it's like if you're having other partners and your person that you're with has no idea about it. If y'all are into polyamory, all of that's your business, nobody else's business. But like the things that people do in the dark, right? I find that now, and this kind of bridges into this, like the conversation about sexuality and sexual orientation of Black folks, right? It's more than just, oh, that person is gay or lesbian or bi. You got people who are pansexual, and they've been pansexual Black people who are open to people and are attracted to multiple energies, and that's okay. But it's almost like we're scared to talk about these things as though we're viewing every single thing that makes us us as an additional strike because we're already black.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because as much as we talk about, wanting freedom from white supremacy and freedom from, at least for women, patriarchy, it's like we still set these boundaries on each other about what we can and cannot do. And it's like, how are we trying to get free if you're not even letting me be free to be who I am?
Mm,
Isn't that how we combat this nowadays? To just be who you are, unapologetically black, as people like to say. Well, my unapologetic blackness is that I'm a sex worker, and most of my clients are black. So obviously, that's part of their blackness too. What they enjoy sexually. Sexuality can be, because there are some people who are asexual. So we have to, it can be,
right.
a lot of who you are. It can, depending on what you're into, you may have friends just based around your sexuality. Like if you are a swinger, you may have a whole group of friends who are just into that lifestyle. That becomes a part of who you are as a person. As for me, I'm friends with the partner that I create content with. And we became real cool because we started creating content together. We probably wouldn't even talk as much or at all if we didn't create content. But that is now a commonality that we have, that we bonded over. And if we stopped making content, we would still be friends. But it started out with content. So it just becomes a part of who you are. So sexuality, if we just let each other just be ourselves, then it wouldn't look so wrong when you come across
Mm,
somebody who is different from you, because you would be used to seeing people in their elements, whatever that may be.
right. That now that's I think that's a really resounding point there, honestly, because you get to a place where you can't champion freedom and oppress other people,
Yeah.
right? You made that point like very clearly. I just wonder now, like with because and let's be frank, there's a lot of people who are doing OnlyFans for content and they don't have any attachment to it. They don't have any love for it. They don't. It it's like a moneymaker, right? And that too is perfectly fine,
And that's
right?
fine.
I know people that legit they stripped their entire way through undergrad, and people was just like, "You was a stripper," and that person was like, "Yeah, and you got undergraduate student loan debt, and I don't." It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it looks different for people, right? I just think one of the reasons I kind of started this whole podcast is because the more that we see the completeness of each other,
Yeah.
the more we can kind of come together, right? And I wonder, even when this conversation about, oh, you like that, you watch that, it's just like, yeah. And I'm a person, and I got family, and I got a regular job, all those things too. Let me ask this before we kind of, leave out or like in the conversation, if you will. Uh, you're in this sex work industry. You're black. You're a woman. We know that. How much do other things you identify by impacts your industry? So, for instance, would you consider yourself a BBW? And does that aspect of the content you create add something, take away something? Does that does that reach out to a particular audience?
Mm. I think so, because I mean, well, I do consider myself a BBW because I am thick, okay? And the pandemic made me thicker. All right. So in places that I don't even want to really be thick, but hey, we're here. So
We all got thicker. It's okay.
yeah, like, it's okay. Like you're surviving, you're here. That's all we can do right now. But I do consider myself a BBW. The one thing I've noticed kind of tying it back into what we first were talking about, BBW has gotten a new meaning to include, they changed it to include white women. Whereas it used to be like big, beautiful, big black, like, I don't know, big black woman, whatever BBW stood for. You knew that when you search BBW, you would be looking for a thick black woman. You knew that. Now, the definition somehow has changed to big, beautiful woman. And it's like you have erased the blackness out of this category that was meant for us. So I call myself a BBW because, I mean, I am. But that's another thing, like, just not just racism, but erasure of things that was specifically like our category. So, and what was the other part of the question? Sorry.
No, I would just like any other way that you may identify. So, for instance, I'm seeing a lot more now. There's one particular actress who I think she's creating content now. I believe she's pansexual. She's a woman who is having sex with, and I don't want to use the incorrect term. Often I see them categorized as quote unquote she-males, but I don't think that's the correct term.
Boys is how
yeah.
Like only thing I categorize, like, if you go to my OnlyFans, which again is onlyfans.com/Miss Sydney Nash. If you go to my OnlyFans, you'll see that I have solo content. I do categorize myself as a BBW, and I do boy girl content, which means you're going to get, peen and vagine. You're going to get that.
Never thought those two words would rhyme.
Yeah, peen and vagine. So, and as far as like personally, I took a test that said I'm bisexual, but it really just means that I think women are beautiful. Sometimes I feel like, okay, I want to do something with a woman. I haven't really gotten the opportunity to do that much as I like. But for the most part, unfortunately, I'm attracted to men the most. Unfortunately, my black kings, I can't stop liking you. But so that's why what you see in my content will really be either myself or me and another man and a man, because heterosexual is me, unfortunately, with a little bi-curious sprinkled in there. So you're not really going to see me again. That comes with the freedom of doing your own content. I don't have to do anything with anyone that I don't want to. Whereas in the traditional porn companies and production companies, you signed up and here are the actors that day. These are the scenes that you're doing, and here's the money that you're going to be getting paid. I mean, at least you get the money up front. Whereas with OnlyFans, you got to hustle it. But at the end of the day, it's like, what are you willing to trade off? Let's hustle for the money quickly, but you could be berated with the N-word at work all the time. Or you like, you know what? I value my freedom. I want to just do this on my own. And I'm happy with building myself from the ground up.
There it goes. All right. Last 30 seconds. What do you want people to know based upon the conversation we just had? Blackness, talking about sexuality, protecting sex workers. What do you want people to know as we sign off?
Man, sex workers are people, and sex workers could be people you don't even know are sex workers. It could be your coworker. It could be the head executive, or he could be the one paying for, a dominatrix to get him off or whatever. Sex workers could be the woman working at the grocery store. It could be your doctor. It could be anybody. A sex worker doesn't have a certain look. They don't have a certain way about them. They aren't a certain type of person. They're just a person who enjoys doing the work or wants to do the work. And that's it. So we're people at the end of the day. We have other jobs. We have other hobbies. We're dope as fuck because sex workers tend to be some of the least judgmental people that I know, and some of the most accepting people that I know. And you can learn a lot from us, honestly. With just accepting people for who they are. And just, body image. You have all different types of sizes. And for anyone who is looking at, getting into this, just do it. Just start and just do it. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can jump in my DMs, say, hey, I heard you on a podcast. I got some questions. Feel free to hit me up. It's at Miss Sydney Nash on Instagram, which I don't like Instagram. We could talk about them another day and their policies. But Twitter is where I'm most active. So hit me up on there, ask me questions. I'm happy to continue the conversation.
Wait, don't you have a podcast?
I do. It's in production. It's in pre-production. It's called Sydney Exposed because of what we talked about earlier. It's called Sydney Exposed: Confessions of a Sex Worker. I'm currently working on. I hate to be like one of them people like I'm so busy, but I am. I have a lot going on, and podcasting is something I do enjoy. So look for that to come out. If not by the end of the year, beginning of 2021, that should be out there. So again, that's called Sydney Exposed: Confessions of a Sex Worker. And I'm gonna have other sex workers on there speaking about topics we just discussed. I'm gonna be giving you, stories of what I've come across, funny things that's happened. I'm gonna be very candid because when you put your pussy out there for the world, what else is there to hide? Okay.
That's the tagline right there.
I know.
When you put your pussy out there for the world, what else is there to hide?
What else
My
is there to
goodness.
hide?
I thank you. I really do appreciate you joining me on here. I know this is probably the first time that we've actually talked face to face
In so long.
Yes, so long. But I'm so happy that you joined me. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because Lord knows it's more strength than I know I could deal with sometimes than I could deal with. So I trust me. But once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Um, check out Miss Sydney Nash. You might learn something, guys. Go watch it, if not for yourself, so you can learn how to treat your partner right.
I do consultations. Anything, hit me up. I can help you out.
See, there you go. I was just throwing it out there, and she proved me right again. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode. Once again, thanks for joining us on Bounce Pod, and y'all have a good rest of y'all week. Be easy.
Bye.